What up, YouTube? Welcome to a new video. So as you can tell, I'm currently preparing breakfast. So I just put together this little breakfast sandwich. I'm just going to talk about it because, you know, I am in a little bit of a cut, so I wanted to show you a little bit of my food right now, and then I'll show you, I'll be able to tell you a lot more about the cut probably next week per se, but just because I was making breakfast, I was like, let me show YouTube just to give this video a little bit of a different style and to mix it up. But basically, so I have 3 pasture-raised eggs, which is right here, obviously within the sandwich, and then 2 pieces of sourdough bread. The sourdough bread is covered with a little bit of strawberry jelly, and then I have a protein shake with about 10 ounces of the Mutopia fat-free milk, right? So that's the higher protein milk, the fat-free version. And then I have fat-free cheese within the egg, so I layer the egg on the pan, put the cheese, let the egg cook, put the cheese on top, and then I fold it over, right? So this is kind of how I cook that. But anyway, this sandwich plus the shake is going to be 740 calories, 70 grams of protein, 19 grams of fat, and 72 grams of carbs. So yeah, I pretty much eat this up every morning. Some kind of version of this. Sometimes I have the eggs by themselves with the bread separately. This is what I've been eating on my cut lately, so I just wanted to show you that. In the future, I'll definitely do a full day of eating video because I know a lot of people like that as well. Got my coffee. About to knock out some work, got my water ready, and then yeah, so it's gonna be a pretty good day. This video should be pretty good. Obviously, as you can tell by the title, it's gonna be a little bit different. We're gonna play Overrated or Underrated, which is a really fun game I like to play, and I thought I would do a powerlifting edition one. So that's what we're gonna do later on after I train, and it should be a good one. So you guys just saw that bench 402. Pretty chill single, not gonna push today. Like I mentioned, big SBD day this weekend. So I'm not trying to save some energy, right? So just be mindful of that. So now I'm just gonna make this move well. I'm just gonna go 331. Got a quick set of 4. Just gonna make it move well. Took loads at the top single, felt decent. Now it's gonna clean it up, hopefully, and just make these feel really good. And then we should be chilling there. But also, my tripod broke. The base of my camera tripod broke. So right now, the camera is on a plyo box. It looks very, very ghetto and old school. But I'm kind of annoyed that I have to get a new tripod now. But I mean, it was like a $20 tripod, so I guess I can't really complain when it breaks. But it's just kind of annoying. So just gotta deal with that. But in the meantime, I'm gonna knock out this bench. I am back from the gym. Unfortunately, I didn't get to film as much of my workout as I wanted to because, like I mentioned, my tripod completely broke. I mean, it's a $20 tripod, so can't expect much, but that hoe completely broke. So, unfortunately, wasn't able to film most of my workout because I was going to do like a little workout like footage before we got to this part, but obviously not able to. So, if you like that part, there will be more of that in the future for sure. So don't worry about it. But my last video, how to be a great powerlifter, a lot of people said they liked the sit down, so then I was like, what's something else I could do similar? Something I've been wanting to do is play Underrated, Overrated, but powerlifting edition. So that's what we're going to do. I used to watch this content creator. He used to play this underrated, overrated game. People would just give him word. He would say underrated, overrated, and then he would give him a little bit of feedback based on what he thought. Going to do a little bit differently. I put up a question thing on my story. Got a lot of responses, so I'm just going to go through some of them, and I'm going to say if I think it's overrated or underrated and give my opinion on it. So should be pretty good. Hopefully it's not too long, so I'm just going to pick a few here and there, and we're just going to get into it and just see what's up. So should be a fun time, gentlemen. This one's spicy. USA Pale using cash prizes for top dots instead of top weight classes. I would say that would have to be overrated because it's, well, first of all, it's nationals, and nationals should highlight head-to-head weight class battles and not dots. So I think I am going to make a video on the USA PL in the future, but they need to like figure out the direction they want to go in
and prioritizing dots is not the direction. They have a lot of other stuff that they can be really great at, so I'll give them an A+ for giving lifters money, but an F+ in execution. It's taking away from the winners of the individual weight classes, which is what nationals is about, by focusing on the best dots lifters, right? And people don't actually know this. You can actually get second place and have a higher dot. So imagine you have a chance to pull for the win, but it might be kind of a reach, but you think you can pull for second, and it's going to be a lot easier because it's going to be a lower number, but either one will give you the highest dots. What if you just play it safe, pull for second, so you get the $5,000? You know what I'm saying? So definitely overrated for USAPL to do that. It doesn't put, like, the focus should be on the head-to-head and the winners, and that kind of takes it away, right? So that's very overrated on the USAPL's part. Not be big to be strong. It just says, there's no more context. It just says be big to be strong. That's underrated. You gotta have mass, right? Mass moving mass, obviously that's that old saying, but realistically, look at every weight class winner. I mentioned in my last video, look at every weight class winner that's not even a super heavyweight. They're pretty jacked, male and female. So very, very underrated there. Just gaining weight and getting jacked to get super strong is underrated. People still want to optimize leverages when they're not competitive in their current weight class. It's kind of a lot. Just gaining weight and getting jacked to get super strong is underrated. Yes. People still want to optimize leverages when they're not competitive in their current weight class. Also, yes, I see this a lot with younger lifters. They'll be like way too tall for their teen weight class, but they're so obsessed with identifying with that weight class that they're hurting their long-term potential by trying to maximize, or not even trying to maximize, because they're not trying to maximize anything, but they're hurting their long-term potential by staying in a lower weight class just because they think they can be a little bit more competitive, or they think they can optimize something at a smaller weight class, or they want some random record that it's not really going to mean anything in like a year or two. So I would agree, underrated. That's kind of my last point. Getting jacked just to get stronger. That's what you need to do. Obviously optimize technique too, but you get what I'm saying. Technique is overrated, just get stronger. We're kind of on a theme here. I wonder if someone's ranting. I wouldn't say technique is overrated. I would say there is a group of people, or there's a certain kind of lifter who will hyper focus on technique so much they limit their growth, and they can never get any consistency. They're too afraid to load the bar. You see, this is my problem with squat U, is that they fantasize that you have to have the perfect technique to load the bar. Like, no, your body's going to adapt to the position. Just load the fucking bar. But technique isn't overrated, but there are people who overrate technique because they hyper focus on technique, and it limits their output, right? Because they never want to push, they never want to get stronger, because something deviates slightly, like knee cave on squat, right? That's just like the most simple, the most obvious one. It's not even really a technical flaw, but some people hyper focus on it, so they never actually truly can load up, right? So, but I would say for most people, technique is not overrated. I would say it's properly rated. I don't think anyone's underrating technique, but most really good lifters have really optimized technique for themselves. But over time, once you just get stronger, your body's going to naturally kind of self-organize into the positions it wants you in to overcome the load, right? So, yeah, I would say technique itself is probably not overrated. But for certain people, they do just need to get stronger and they focus too much on it. So yeah, it's kind of a case-by-case example. Hopefully that reasoning just made sense. Spending a lot of time warming up, just warm up with the bar, then put a red on after. Fuck. Was the F word needed there? I do see this a lot at the gym. I'll see people like spend 30 minutes warming up, and it's like, okay, bro, what are you doing? I think in general, powerlifters spend too much in the gym, and a big part of that is they spend too long warming up. If you're healthy and there's nothing wrong with you, you should be able to go straight to the bar and load it up, and build up to whatever your set is. Because the best way to warm up the tissue that's going to be used is to moderately increase the load on the tissue that's going to be warmed up, that's going to be used, right? So, however, I will also counter that and say, if you are healthy and you have the time, it wouldn't hurt you to spend an extra 5 minutes getting loose, doing some various activities, movements that make you feel comfortable. Because at the end of the day, if you feel comfortable and it helps you, then by all means, there's nothing wrong with it. But if you are healthy, you should be able to go straight to the bar. I'm fortunate enough to where I generally am not, if I'm in a time rush, I'll go straight to the bar. And I won't even take the bar. I'll go straight and put a plate or 2 plates on. And I'll just do a lot of reps with low weight, just get the blood like really flowing. But I do try to spend 5 to 10 minutes. I am working on my mobility a little bit right now. The biggest thing is for bench, I try to get my shoulders loose, and then for squats, I really try to get my hips open. So those are the two, and deadlifts obviously. So those are the 2 big things I kind of spend my pre-barbell time on. But if you are healthy, you should be able to just go straight to the bar. Like, don't overthink it too. I had an athlete of mine who was spending like 30 to 45 minutes before he got to the bar, and we got that down to about 5 to 10 minutes. So you want your warm up to be efficient and effective. So that's kind of what you should look for there. Powerlifting apparels are overrated in general. Do you mean like powerlifting brands? I wouldn't say they're overrated. Like, you mean like SBD? I don't know what the person means. They just says powerlifting apparels were overrated in general. So I'm assuming they just mean like A7, SBD, and Stoic. But like, those are powerlifting companies. So if those companies didn't exist, what would we have? We'd just have another company, right? Maybe you mean like the designs they come out with, because here's the thing, SBD drops designs all the time, A7 drops designs all the time. Maybe you don't like all the designs, but that's just you having an opinion, so there's nothing wrong with that. If you don't like it, just don't buy it. It's that simple. Someone likes it, someone's gonna buy it, and it suits them. So I would say they're not overrated. Bench is overrated. Let's take it out. Faster, more entertaining meets. In parentheses, my bench is ass. I think obviously bench is not overrated, but it is the boringest part of a meet. I think more people should just try to focus on just execute on bench, build that total, and then just move on, right? Like, don't look for anything special on bench unless you have a chip. Don't look anything for special on bench. Just take what's there, build the total. There's no reason you should really fail a bench. Overrated, chasing clout. Underrated, doing and improving your accessories. Chasing clout is definitely overrated. I think there's not really any like elite level lifters that I can think of that chase clout, because all of the ones that have clout like followings are elite, so therefore it's like kind of like well earned, well deserved kind of thing. But lifters doing powerlifting or getting into powerlifting because they think they're going to have clout, they never last that long, because it takes a decent amount of time to get strong and to get pretty good. So definitely overrated chasing clout. Underrated doing and improving your accessories. You know what's funny is everyone's talking about how underrated doing your accessories are. I almost feel like it's almost overrated by how much we're talking about it. But nah, but definitely do and improve your accessories. Push them. You'd be surprised. But yeah, so I'd have to agree with that. Overrated chasing clout, underrated doing and improving your accessories. For sure. The conventional is better than sumo take. Underrated the unity of the US APL community. Overrated the conventional is better than sumo take. I'm assuming that's coming from the sumo is cheating argument. I'm kind of in the camp now to where it's like 2023. Anytime someone says sumo is cheating, I'm just assuming they're joking, or if they seriously mean that, their opinion is obviously not anyone's of note who you should probably care about. That's how I look at it, right? Because no real person within powerlifting is saying that, and if they are, they're just trolling. Like, I say sometimes that conventionals, that sumo's cheating, but obviously I pull sumo, so it's obviously a troll. But anybody who like actually believes that is generally just some like noob on the internet. So, yeah, so I think that take is definitely overdone. So if that's what you mean by overrated, sure, but I think it's kind of like, yeah. Anyway, underrated, the unity of the USAPL community. I haven't really thought about this, so maybe it is underrated because I haven't thought about it. But I think powerlifting in general has a pretty good community, so I would say properly rated. Powerlifting does a good job of bringing people together for the most part, quote unquote there. But yeah, so I can agree with that. I think pause deadlifts are so overrated. Way too many people are using them when they just need to focus on regular deadlift technique. I think pause deadlifts are so overrated. Way too many people are using them when they just need to focus on regular deadlifting technique. Have we gotten to the point where pause deadlifts are overrated? I don't think pause deadlifts are overrated. Obviously, if there's one variation of deadlift you're going to do, probably should be paused. Very few instances would you ever probably want to do a deficit. I would say this kind of goes back to the technique just get stronger thing. There are people who like hyper obsess over doing variations just for the sake of doing variations when they don't actually need variation, or they don't actually want to work on what said variation is supposed to help them with. There is a group of people, a group percentage of lifters who have that problem. They've been so hyper focused on, oh, I Larson PR today, you know, oh, pause deadlift PR, but their regular deadlift is like suffering. So at the end of the day, powerlifting is one of the few sports where you can get pretty damn sport specific as far as movement patterns goes. So it's definitely, you definitely want to take advantage of that. But I wouldn't say pause deadlifts are so overrated that way too many people are using them. It's a great tool for sumo, given the right context, the right situation. So, but in general, people should still be focused on the regular deadlift technique. But there is a group of people who do kind of what I went back to the squat. You gotta have the perfect squat before you can load the bar. They micro obsess over the technique, which does limit their potential. So can definitely see that one. Overrated new equipment, underrated sleep. Sleep is always underrated. There's that famous Stanford basketball study where the athletes shot like 9% worse from the free throw line when they averaged like 2 hours of less sleep than normal. It's some banana stat. Overrated new equipment. You mean like nice equipment? I've kind of already ran that on an old video. To me, all you pretty much need is a stiff bar if you're USAPL IPF. Obviously, if you have kilos, great, but like you don't need them. Like 80% of my powerlifting career is on pounds. I was just fine. When I had my 9-for-9 streak going on, like 5 straight meets over 2.5 years, pretty much always trained on pound plates. But I had the stiff bar. The stiff bar is important. I would say a stiff bar is more, having a stiff bar available is more important than having comp plates. Because if you have comp plates but not a stiff bar, I don't think it's gonna even help you. But if you have a stiff bar and pound plates, you'd be better off with this. I just worded that up. You'd be better off with a stiff bar and pound plates than kilo plates and a non-stiff bar. I'll stand by that argument any time of the week. But yeah, over new equipment, yeah, I mean, just as long as you can get your work done, you're gonna be chilling. So don't think too much about it. Deadlift bars are overrated and make the lift harder. Hang on a second. Deadlift bars are overrated and make the lift harder. I don't think this person, if deadlift bars make the lift harder, then they would be underrated. I think having a specialty bar to make you lift more is overrated in general. So that's how I feel about that. Like the USPA, you really got to have a different bar for every lift. Like, come on now, what are we doing here? Dot scores is overrated. Just get stronger. That's kind of a big take too. Dot scores is overrated, just get stronger. Do I agree that dot scores are overrated? I would say dots is properly rated because there are instances where dots is very overrated. For instance, you'll have a lifter who's like ranked 1,000th, 112th in their division, but they're hyper focused on their dot score when it's like, you just need to worry about the squat, bench, and deadlift, man. Like, you're thinking about the wrong thing. There are those instances. Dot score should really only matter if you're like doing a dots-based meet because that's how they score the meet, or if you go up or down a weight class to see how your body weight strength correlated with the increase in mass or the decrease in mass. That's when dot scores should use as a gauge to kind of judge yourself in that instance. But as far as like actually worrying about your dot scores, unless you're like the national champion of your weight class and you can win money by having a better dots, you should probably focus on trying to win your weight class. And then naturally your dots will just go up anyway. So I would say in situations, it's overrated for sure. But for the most part, I think it's properly rated. But yeah, and I believe it's already been a minute. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it there. I think we'll do a part 2. If this video is good, we'll do a part 2. Appreciate you guys watching this. If you like the video, smash thumbs up. Let me know your thoughts in the comments for sure. And yeah, and I'll see you guys in the next one.